Ever wondered what it's really like to inherit a fortune from one of the most famous people on earth? Just imagine waking up one morning and realizing your father was none other than Michael Jackson, the king of pop. The man whose music changed the world, whose name still echoes across generations, and now, his empire, is partly yours. Sounds like something straight out of a dream, doesn't it? But for Paris Jackson, it's been a mix of blessing and burden. Because yes, she's received over $65 million in benefits from her father's estate. That's a huge number, life-changing for most people. But behind that number lies a storm of legal battles, estate disputes, and controversy that would exhaust anyone, no matter how wealthy they are. There's a whole world of complicated decisions, powerful people, and emotional struggles behind that one big headline. So today, let's unpack everything that's really going on. How did Paris Jackson end up receiving that massive amount? Why is her father's estate now tangled in a legal firestorm? And who's actually benefiting behind the scenes? Trust me, this story is about much more than just money. It's about family, control, and one man's legacy that refuses to fade, even years after his death. Let's go back a bit. When Michael Jackson passed away in 2009, his estate was in serious trouble. He was deeply in debt, over $400 million owed to various creditors. It was shocking, especially considering how massive his fame had been. The man who sold over 400 million records, who filled stadiums across the world, had debts that seemed impossible to recover from. But Michael had thought ahead. Before he passed, he appointed two men to manage everything after him, John Branca and John McClain. They were the executors of his estate, responsible for handling every penny, every contract, every song, every asset linked to his name. Their job was huge. They had to pay off all those debts, keep Michael's legacy alive, and make sure his kids, Prince, Paris, and Blanket, were financially secure for life. And for a while, it really looked like they were doing exactly that. Michael's estate started bouncing back in a way that stunned everyone. Through smart deals, licensing, new music releases, documentaries, and partnerships with Sony, the estate didn't just recover, it exploded in value. From being hundreds of millions in debt, Michael's name went on to generate billions. His brand became stronger than ever, even after his passing. It seemed like a miracle comeback. But now, years later, a new controversy has shaken that image. Recent court filings revealed that Paris Jackson and her siblings have received more than $65 million in benefits since their father's death. That includes things like cash allowances, property purchases, education funds, and even travel expenses, all meant to support their lives and ensure they were cared for. On paper, that sounds fair, right? Michael worked hard his entire life, and he wanted his kids to have everything they needed. But here's where things start to get complicated. While the children have indeed benefited, the executors, the very people running Michael's estate, are now facing serious criticism. Why? Because they've reportedly paid themselves massive bonuses. And we're not talking about a small thank you check. We're talking about multi-million-dollar bonuses that have left some people asking, wait a minute, is that fair? See, according to legal filings, these executors requested enormous payments for themselves, claiming they deserved it because of how much they've grown Michael's fortune. From a business point of view, it kind of makes sense. The estate went from being nearly bankrupt to earning billions. But from a family perspective, it feels off. Some of Michael's relatives, including his mother Catherine Jackson, don't agree with those decisions. Catherine has reportedly challenged some of the financial choices made by the executors. She believes not all of their actions are in the best interest of Michael's heirs, especially his kids. And when Michael's own mother questions how his estate is being managed, it's bound to cause tension. It's kind of heartbreaking if you think about it. Michael Jackson, one of the most loved artists in history, worked his whole life to give his kids the best future possible. He wanted them to have security, comfort, and peace. Yet, here we are, years after his passing, and the people closest to him are still fighting in court. Fame and fortune, they don't always bring peace. Sometimes, they bring even more chaos. And while all this is happening, Paris Jackson has quietly chosen a different path. She's stayed mostly out of the legal drama, focusing on her own career. She's built a life for herself as a singer, model, and activist. She's been open about her struggles, her growth, and her journey towards self-acceptance. She's tried hard to step out of her father's shadow, to show the world she's more than just Michael Jackson's daughter. She's Paris, an artist in her own right, with her own story to tell. Still, you can't really separate her from the legacy she was born into. She's deeply affected by everything that happens with the estate. For her, it's not just about the money. It's about her father's name, his music, his memory, all the things that made him who he was. Now, here's where it gets even more interesting. Financial experts have looked at this case, and their opinions are divided. Some say the executors are actually entitled to those bonuses because that's how estate management works. When you're in charge of billions of dollars and you turn a failing estate into a global financial success, you get rewarded. That's standard practice in the business world. But others believe transparency is the real issue here. They say it's not about whether the executors can take bonuses, it's about how much they're taking, and whether it's fair. Because when you're dealing with huge sums of money, even a small percentage can turn into an eye-popping figure. Imagine this, a 10% bonus on $1 billion. That's $100 million. Just like that. So, yes, the executors might have worked hard, but when people see numbers like that, it's easy to understand why eyebrows are being raised. And that's the heart of this whole issue, fairness and transparency. The executors say they're doing what's right for Michael's legacy. Critics argue they're taking too much credit, and too much money, for themselves. Meanwhile, the Jackson family just wants to make sure Michael's children get what they truly deserve. It's a delicate situation, and honestly, there are no easy answers. But one thing's for sure, Michael's legacy continues to live on, even through the challenges. His music still fills the air, his impact on pop culture remains unmatched, and his children continue to honor him in their own ways. And through it all, Paris Jackson remains a symbol of resilience. Despite all the pressure, the lawsuits, and the public scrutiny, she's managed to stay grounded. She's turned her pain into art, her grief into strength, and her father's influence into inspiration for her own creative path. She once said in an interview that her dad taught her about compassion, creativity, and kindness, and those lessons have guided her every step of the way. For her, money and fame come and go, but legacy, that's something that lasts forever. Still, it's sad to think that the same empire Michael built to protect his family is now the center of so much tension. The irony is hard to ignore. The man who sang about love, unity, and healing left behind a world still fighting over what's his. It's a reminder that even legends can't escape the complications of life after death. So, what do you think? Should the executors be rewarded for rebuilding Michael's fortune, or do you think more of the money should go directly to his children and family? It's a tough call, right? Whatever your opinion, one thing's certain, Michael Jackson's story never really ends. His influence continues, his estate keeps growing, and his children are carving their own paths while carrying the weight of his incredible legacy. If you found this story interesting, there's so much more to explore. The world of celebrity estates and family dynamics is full of surprises, from incredible comebacks to heartbreaking disputes. So, if you'd like to hear more about how famous families handle the challenges that come after fame, make sure to check out the next video on our channel. And hey, if you enjoyed this one, don't forget to hit like, leave a comment, and subscribe. It really helps us keep bringing you stories like this, stories that dig deeper than the headlines, stories that show the human side behind fame and fortune. Tell me in the comments, what's one thing you've learned from Michael Jackson's story or from Paris's journey that really stuck with you? Do you think she'll ever escape her father's shadow, or will she always be tied to it? I'd love to hear your thoughts. Thanks for watching, my friend. And remember, at the end of the day, no matter how much money or fame someone has, what truly matters is how we treat the people we love and how we honor those who came before us. So take care of yourself, appreciate your family, and never forget the power of legacy.